Alright, what's going on everyone out there on YouTube? NES Ruler, and welcome to a brand new review. And this time around, I'll be checking out a film that was sent to me review by Eureka Entertainment. And you can pick this up on Blu-ray at all your favorite online retailers in the UK and websites like Diabolic DVD here in the States. It is a film from the year 1964 from Japan titled Revenge. Now, this is a film directed by Amami, who is a really interesting director. I watched a couple of his films when I was in film school. He came up at the same time as Kurosawa, and he kind of got left in the shadows because, most of Kurosawa's films during the 50s and into the 60s were getting a Western release, and Western audiences were familiar with his work. But people like Amami was making films in Japan that were equally as good as Kurosawa's films, and they looked just as good as his movies. They were acted just as good, and it's unfortunate that the the West kind of pushed him aside, because some of his movies are really, really interesting. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot, but I am familiar with his work. But he's basically a really interesting director. He started making films in the 1930s. During the war, he started making propaganda films in the late 30s into the 40s. And, I feel like maybe that's why he gets a lot of flack, and a lot of his films aren't really talked about that often, because his earlier work is very propaganda against the West. But as time went on and the war ended, he started making post-war films, post-war relationship, love story kind of films. And ultimately, as we got into the 60s, he teamed up with Kurosawa, who wrote, Seven Samurai, Rashomon, who's a frequent collaborator with Kurosawa, and he wrote this film, Revenge, which is a Way of the Warrior political drama kind of a film, a little bit of a different kind of film that Amami was used to making at the time. So basically, we follow our main character, who is he's a low-ranking samurai, and one day his superior comes up to him at his weapon stand, and he insults him, and basically he challenges him to the duel. And the lower ranked samurai, our main character, ultimately ends up murdering this high ranking official in this duel. And this duel went under the table and was unauthorized, which caused a lot of people in the government in this village to get upset with our main character and deem that he's insane. So ultimately he flees to a monastery, and he is left to come to terms with what he's done and try to regain some kind of control in his life. And along the way, we flash forward and backwards a lot in this movie. We flash forward to the day of the duel that we see at the end of the film, and intertwined with that is all the flashbacks that ultimately lead up to this main duel that we see at the beginning of the film. So our main character, he goes live in this monastery with this monk, and he accepts his fate that he's probably going to die at the hands of one of the brothers that of the man that he killed, the high-ranking official. Well, ultimately, one of these brothers comes to pay him a visit, and he ends up murdering him as well. So he is challenged to a duel in the middle of the city by the third brother. And that's where the film's amazing climax and ending takes place. This is a really interesting, beautiful film. The scenery in this movie is just absolutely gorgeous. It just looks so good. And the acting in this movie is just top-notch, high-level quality stuff. It's just really, really great stuff. And the climax of this movie is absolutely amazing. Our main character, he gets act out of the park. It's just absolutely amazing stuff in this film. I feel like the narrative is a little bit confusing at times because it likes to flash forward and back, and some of the characters at times could get confusing because of this. But ultimately, if you pay attention and you realize who is who, I feel like you probably will get a real appreciation of this movie. But like I said, I'm not to fault that at some points I was messing up who was who. But ultimately, it wounds up together that you realize who's belonging to what clan and things like that. But like I said, just a beautiful film, a really great transfer here from Eureka. It looks really, really fantastic. Brand new 2K restoration. This is shot in black and white. The mise-en-scène in this movie is just awesome, like I mentioned before. And the transfer is just really, really great. The audio track, you have an uncompressed original Japanese soundtrack. It sounds good. There's a lot of film hiss throughout the film during some of the quiet parts. That's just part of the charm of this movie. That's just the part of the negatives that they worked with. But besides that, all the audio sounds great. The subtitles look great, so I appreciate that. We also have some awesome features on this. We have one featurette that talks about the film and the history of the film. And then we have another visual essay about Amami's work and who he was as a filmmaker and some of his other movies that he made, including his propaganda films in the 30s and his romance films that he made into the 50s leading up to this film in 1964. But ultimately, this is a really just film that you guys, I think, should run and check out. If you guys could sit through and get past some of the confusing narrative and characters, I feel like a lot of people will get a lot out of this movie. I really do think it's quite good. Here's the release from Eureka. You have the awesome artwork. This is part of their Masters of Cinema collection, number 278. And here's the back. And inside, we have the cover art again with the disc and the typical booklet from Eureka, which talks about the film. Really nice stuff. No reversible cover art on this, but we have a image right there. So really just a nice package again from Eureka, highlighting their Masters of Cinema's release that they put out, which I've been a fan of for a while, like I said in the past. So that is my review of Revenge from 1964, put out by Eureka Entertainment. Like I said at the beginning, you can pick this up on Blu-ray at all your favorite online retailers in the UK and websites like Diabolic DVD here in the States. It is Region B locked, so unless you have a Region B player or a Region Free player, you won't be able to play this one. But like I said before, most people who are collectors have a Region Free player, but I just want to mention that. So, thank you again, everybody, for watching. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/NESRuler22. Hope everybody's doing well, and I shall talk to you guys soon. See you guys.